And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is our penultimate power rankings for the 2025 MLR season. We are near the very end, and what an exciting season it has been. I don't think in the last couple of years that I've been covering Major League Rugby, so it's say last couple. It's actually been quite a few. About 4 years now I've been covering Major League Rugby. I don't feel the playoffs have come down to the near end as close as it has this season. We have all the teams qualified for the East. We still have only three out of the four that are qualified for the West, so we still have 1 week left to determine the last spot in the Western Conference. But with that being said, all of the seeds have not been determined yet. A couple of teams, I'm actually technically, no, a couple of teams have secured home pitch advantage for at least one playoff game on the eastern side, but technically no one has solidified a first seed spot just yet. So there's still a lot to play in the last week of the 2025 Major League Rugby season. And man, a lot has happened in this week 16 of the season, so we'll get right into it. Again, if you've never seen my power ranking videos, it's all about what goes on the pitch, so whoever is number one may not necessarily be the team with the best overall rankings or overall standings in either East or Western Conference, or have the best records of the league. It's all about who's been the hottest, winning on the pitch, who they've been beating, where they've been winning, whether it's at home or away, because home pitch advantage is a thing. That has all been determined and factored with as much science research as one could do with the power rankings, but that's where my power rankings come from. So let's begin. Unfortunately, still at number 11, still looking for their very first win of their franchise history, Anthem Rugby Carolina, who fell short to the Utah Warriors 10-31. I'll go, you know what? I will actually put Utah up on this one. Utah stays at number 8. They came into this power ranking at number 8. They stay at number 8 because in this game, I feel Utah could have maybe done a little bit more. I feel they kind of let their foot off the gas after the beginning of the first half. In the first half, it was pretty much all Utah. There was a try scored by Joe Mono, his leading 13th try. He is just one try away, actually 2 tries away from having the overall record of most tries scored in season in Major League Rugby. The current record is still only 14, so Joe Mono still has 13, so he has one more to go. Could he break it next weekend in a very, very important game when Utah takes on RFCLA in Zion Stadium? But let's continue talking about this game. Utah could have scored their bonus try in the first half. Unfortunately, an obstruction penalty was called, so they had to wait until the second half of the game where they got that fourth try. Anthem ended up getting a try at the 70th minute, but again, it was pretty much all Utah. Not much more to say. I just really don't think Anthem has any more energy left in the season, unfortunately. They will go down as the team with the worst start in Major League Rugby history. The Dallas Jackals, who are no longer around, had the worst record at first, with only 2 wins in their second season. Anthem, only with 1 game left in their second season, has yet to win a game. Even if they do win the game against Houston, which that's really a far cry, Anthem will still have the worst start of any franchise in Major League Rugby history. But we move on and see where we go from there. Next, San Diego is at the number 10 spot, who's still struggling quite a bit this season. They lose to Miami in a very, very close game, 36-32. In this game, Miami started off really hot, 17-0 at the beginning. Unfortunately, though, Miami got a yellow card And because of that yellow card, San Diego was able to score a couple of tries, including 2 tries from Hugh Roach from a maul and score. That allowed San Diego to catch up to 17-12 at the half. In the second half, Miami got a penalty kick, but San Diego was able to score another try to get within 3. Really, Miami's kicker, which I'll go into more detail when I talk about Miami, Shane O'Leary really kept Miami ahead of San Diego. There was a moment where San Diego was able to score to get within 4 at the 70-minute mark, but that was pretty much it. Miami still kept ahead, and yes, Miami was able to sneak away with a very, very close win, 36-32. It's very unfortunate that San Diego lost that game, but they were able to get not only a bonus point for finishing within 7 of Miami, but also they scored 4 tries. So those 2 points crucial because Seattle also lost this week. Spoiler, if you didn't know. So that keeps San Diego in the running. There is a possibility that San Diego does make the playoffs, but they really have to come out on top in their upcoming game this upcoming weekend. Which, again, I'll go into more detail when I talk about my preview video for the last week of Major League Rugby action. At number 9, a team that pretty much has unfortunately lost out on being in the playoffs, the NOLA Gold lose against Chicago 17-38. The first of 2 games for Chicago because of Storm Week. But Chicago coming out pretty well in this week of action. In this game, NOLA scored first, but then Chicago comes back with 2 tries to make the score 14-7 at the half. In the second half, I'll talk about him a little bit more when we talk about Chicago, but Peyton Wall, who was the 10th overall pick in the 2024 Major League Rugby Draft, first overall pick for Chicago, formerly from Indiana University, having a great little campaign at the end of the season, was able to score his second try in two games to give Chicago a bigger lead, and in the end, Chicago wins this game pretty decisively, 38-17. Again, NOLA already out of the playoffs. Only thing they really can do for next week's game is pretty much play spoiler if they can. But they do go against the New England Free Jacks, so that will be, again, a very, very tough game for them to play. At number 7, another really, really tough game, and speaking of the Free Jacks, the Seattle Seawolves, in a rematch of last season's Major League Rugby Championship game, the Seattle Seawolves once again come up short in a barn burner of a game, 30-37 against the New England Free Jacks. In this game, I'll talk a little bit about Jason Patros, which there is unfortunate news with that one. He does come back in this game for Seattle, but I'll talk about it more when I talk about New England. In the game, Seattle scores from a maul and try from Diwal Kotze, who had 2 tries in this game. Unfortunately, Seattle got a red card for a very dangerous tackle, and that, in my opinion, really made a difference. From that red card, New England was able to score 3 tries and pretty much run away with the game. Seattle, though, for their credit, they were able to catch up and stay within 7 in the game. It was a lot of defense from New England that allowed Seattle to not overtake them. So New England wins 37-30. Again, pretty much dominated Seattle in the first half of the game because of the red card. Could have been a little bit different if New England didn't score. 3 tries scored against Seattle because of the red card. Might have made a difference. Because Seattle lost that game, they are still in contention with San Diego, who are in last place in the West. But Seattle's only 3 points ahead of San Diego. So everything on the line next weekend as Seattle has to win their game. Well, technically, Seattle can let San Diego lose because San Diego plays first over the weekend. But if San Diego does win, Seattle has to beat Miami in order to make sure that they get their playoff spot. So a lot on the line for Seattle. Moving on. For the second game for Chicago, playing against a very, very tough Houston team, Chicago looking good in a very low-scoring game. It was the Wednesday game. It was the second game for Chicago in the week. Houston comes up short 15-12, and therefore Chicago is up a couple spots to the number 5 from number 7 because of their performances against NOLA and Houston. Not a lot to say about this game. Houston gets a yellow card to begin the game off that allows Chicago to get 2 tries by the hooker Jason Zebrick. Near the end of the half, though, Chicago gets a yellow card. Houston's able to score to make the score 12-7 at the half. And then after that, pretty much a defensive game. Chicago gets another yellow card. There are 3 yellow cards for Chicago in the game, 2 for Houston. So it's been a while since we had a lot of yellow cards in a game. This is the first one in a while that we've had 5 by the combined team. Because of those yellow cards, Houston was able to get a try to tie the score 12-12. At the 70th minute mark, Chris Hilsenbach, who's been having a great year for the Chicago Hounds, was able to kick a penalty kick to let Chicago lead 15-12, and that was a difference maker as Chicago holds on to beat Houston 15-12 at the very end. Chicago is done for the season. They do not have a game in the last weekend of Major League Rugby action. They are in first place currently in the Eastern Conference. They're ahead of New England, 3 points. Chicago has secured a playoff spot as well as home pitch advantage for at least week 1. They can't go any further down than second place in the Eastern Conference, regardless of what happens with the rest of the teams. But New England does have the opportunity to jump Chicago to get first if New England does not lose to New Orleans in that game, which, we'll see what happens. But Chicago finished the season very strong, 2 wins in, I believe, in only 7 days of 7 days. So Chicago finishing the season very strong, and now waits to see who their playoff opponent will be at SeatGeek Stadium. Then we go back to number 4, as we talked about New England defeating Seattle in a very close game, 37-30. A red card to Seattle pretty much made the difference. But in this game, unfortunately, really bad news. Jason Patros returned, but then unfortunately halfway through the game, Jason Patros, while giving a pass to Paula Balakana, I believe, which actually Paula Balakana ended up scoring off of that pass. During the pass, Jason Patros stepped funny and his knee, you can see, buckled right underneath him. I do believe Jason Patros was gone for most of the season because of the knee injury. It looks like he might have re-injured that knee. Don't know what the status is, but he had to be taken off of the pitch. He could not leave on his own free will. Horrible news for New England, who, again, Dan Hollinsworth, who just had a baby. Dan Hollinshead, who just had a baby, no longer going to be able to play for New England for at least the rest of the season. So New England was hoping for Jason Patros to be able to step up and play. In the game, though, New England was able to win. So, like I said, they're still in playoff contention. They have the opportunity. They have home pitch advantage for at least 1 week of the playoffs. Possibly can get in that first place spot, but they do have to beat NOLA in the last week of the season. So we'll see what happens without Jason Patros now. We don't know if Felatoy Penny is able to come back, who had a phenomenal first half of Major League Rugby 2025 season. Maybe Dan Hollinshead is willing to come back early after his wife has delivered their newborn baby, but we'll see. Right now, New England, it's up in the air to see who is going to be at that number 10 spot for New England. Number 3 we mentioned before, the Miami Sharks, who were able to overcome a yellow card to beat San Diego 36-32. Miami looking to me like one of the more dangerous teams to play in the Eastern Conference. Granted, they do not have the opportunity to host a playoff game. That has been locked up by New England or Chicago. But I dare to say, whoever plays Miami, man, they got their work cut out for them because Miami has looked really good. And a lot of it, I have to admit, is due to one Shane O'Leary. As I mentioned before, Miami was able to beat San Diego 36-32. Shane O'Leary in that game, 21 points. He set a record for the most points scored by one individual in a game in 2025. 21 points, phenomenal point score. 8 for 9 off of the tee. 21 out of the 36 points for Miami. Literally, so Shane O'Leary won this game by himself. So kudos to Shane O'Leary, who's been having a great season. He is sitting right now at 90 points, I believe, for the year. He is the highest point scoring player so far in the regular season. Has the opportunity to possibly break that 100-point barrier. He just needs 10 points in the last game of the year, where Miami is going to be playing against Seattle in that game. So not an easy game, but a possibility for Shane O'Leary to break that 100-point barrier. Now, last game to review. It was a game of the week by power ranking procedures, because it's between, at the time, ranked number 1 or Old Glory DC hosting ranked number 2 RFCLA. Unfortunately, halfway through that game, power went out in the stadium. From what I understand, a tree fell near the power station in DC that shut off the power at the soccer metroplex, so nobody was able to see the second half. And my God, from what I understand, what a second half. RFCLA was able to pull off the win, 43-32, to become number 1. I believe this is the second time RFCLA has been ranked number 1 in my power ranking. But what a game for RFCLA. From what we saw in the first half, first try scored by RFCLA was by Christian Dyer, who celebrated his 50th cap. Also, it was a return of Christian Dyer, who was suffering an injury which pretty much kept him out of the season for most of 2025. But it's great to see a guy as talented as Christian Dyer come back onto the pitch. 50th cap, as well as he was able to score a try. Old Glory, though, behind Axel Mueller, the hooker, was able to get 2 tries. So Old Glory was ahead of RFCLA in the first half. Somewhere down the line in the second half, they were going back and forth, try for try. In the end, RFCLA was able to pull ahead because of Seth Purdy, who came right off of the bench to play. To get LA ahead by 1 point, 33-32. Now, from what I saw, it looked like that try was scored with time expiring. But apparently there was a little bit of time left. So the game restarted. And Old Glory, from, again, what I understand, didn't get to see it, but from what I saw by all reports of accounts on the pitch, Old Glory was in scoring position to take the win away from RCLA. Unfortunately, an errant pass went right into the hands of the young Ben Houston, who ran it all the way back 80 meters to score, to allow RCLA to cinch that win. And that win actually lets LA, with Houston's loss, surprisingly, well, not necessarily surprisingly, but Houston's loss to Chicago, that actually gets LA the opportunity to possibly finish first in the Western Conference and be able to host not just 1, but possibly 2 playoff games, which is phenomenal as an RCLA fan. You're talking about a team that struggled quite a bit of the season, has now finished with 4 straight wins, looking really hot, just like Miami, a team that is looking really good at the end of the season, and again, could possibly, depending on how they finish against Utah in the last game of the season, to possibly finish first in the Western Conference. But again, with the win, with San Diego and Seattle losing, RCLA does clinch a playoff, first time in franchise history, which again is phenomenal. But I'll go over a little bit more in the preview of next week's action. RCLA could possibly finish as high as first, as well as maybe finish as low as 4th place too. So I'll go over all of the detail about that. But that is our power rankings. Again, it's pretty impressive to see how it switched quite a bit. For most of the season, it was pretty much all Western Conference teams. Now the Eastern Conference has come up. I do gotta say, it's pretty impressive to see both Miami and RFCLA, technically 2 newer expanded franchises, making their way into the top 4 and looking pretty good as well. It's just kind of sad to see Anthem still struggling to get out of last place. But still, like I mentioned before, a lot left to play for in the last week of the season. Now, let's get into our Super Brew, and I gotta say, I'm now excited for the result of this one because the week's leader is yours truly, Dogma. Got the golden cap, first time, possibly only time this season. 8.75 out of 17. I'll admit, I was looking good until the Chicago-Houston game, and I thought Houston would win. I wanted to change to Chicago because Chicago actually looked really, really good, and they had a lot of momentum going in. But I thought Houston playing 2 games in less than 7 days, it's a strain for anybody. But Chicago was able to pull it off. But fortunately, even with that getting that one wrong, I was barely able to squeak by to secure the gold cap. Manxman came right behind me with 8 points, and then Julie EGW 7.5, the reviewer 812 with 7.25, and Jahaigo, who I haven't said his name in a while, finished at the top 5 with 7 points. Unfortunately, Lady Juliet with the wooden spoon. Now, how does that affect the overall rankings, which is really the more important rankings overall? In our penultimate rankings, so mind you, our contest for Super Brew, where the winner gets a t-shirt of the MLR team of their choice, as well as $20 from our pool, courtesy of both myself and Coop, Rugby Union and League fan. It's only for the regular season, so the results of next week, that will determine the winner. But in the penultimate rankings, Julie EGW is able to pull away to claim first place from Sarai, I don't know how to pronounce it, with 76.83 points. Sarai falls down to second with 75.33. So still, about a 1.5 difference. Anything can happen in the final week. And then right behind both of them, still sitting at number 3, USA League and Union fan Coop with 74 points. Rugby Morning John with 72.33 sits at 4, and then the reviewer 812 jumps up a spot to number 5 with 69.83 points, and then I'm just right behind. I jump up a spot to number 6, 69.58 points. I don't believe the reviewer 812 or myself really have any shots. I mean, anything can happen, but I feel we have an outside chance of winning anything. It really comes down to the top 4, Julie GW, Sarai, USA League and Union fan, and Rugby Morning. Who's going to walk away? Just like the playoffs in Major League Rugby, the finish for our Super Brew contest is going to come down to the wire. Super, super excited. Good luck to all 4 of our finalists. I mean, again, Review 812 could pull it off. Hey, I could maybe pull it off. But I feel that so far, everything has been so close. I really don't think either the reviewer 812 or myself can jump 7 points to overtake everybody else. I think it's just a little out of reach. But again, with Julie GW only technically 4.5 points ahead of Rugby Morning John, anything can happen with those two. So yeah. So good luck. We do have one more week of action, but I'll talk about more of that in our preview video. But again, thank you very much as always for watching my videos. Always appreciate the support. Can't wait to see how this season ends, and we'll find that out. As always, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the pitch.